Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel. Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I
Welcome back to the Hellraiser series, with the first main departure from the norm, with a new protagonist this time round and a rather drastic shift in tone. But who knows, maybe the change will make something really unique and interesting. It doesn't, but I want you to know the potential was there. So let's begin with the rather generic sounding Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. The movie begins with an introduction to one of the biggest pricks I've ever seen in a film. And no, I'm not talking about Chenard's head. No, I'm talking about J.P. Monroe, the self-centered douchebag of the movie. He's got more money than sense and is at an obscure art gallery to spend his sleazy cash. I don't like him very much, can you tell? And don't worry, you'll hate him too. Inside the Pyramid Gallery, as it's called, Monroe finds most of the art uninteresting, until his eye is drawn to a copper pillar comprised of people. But as it spins, we see the puzzle box and also Pinhead's face a part of the statue. Which, if you recall from the end of Hellraiser 2, is similar to what we saw come out of the mattress. I guess someone spruced it up a bit so this schmuck would buy it. A rather shabby looking man approaches Monroe asking if he wants the statue.
How much you want for it?
Whatever you think it's worth.
I'm sorry, I missed this joke the first time round, so I gotta use it here.
Exactly the figure I had in mind.
But it comes with a free Frogut.
Okay, I got that out of my system. Meanwhile, in a hospital ER, we are introduced to our main character, Joey, played by Terry Farrell. Which is a pretty cool coincidence how Andrew Robinson, who played Garrick in Deep Space Nine, was in Hellraiser, and now Terry Farrell, who played Dax. Joey is in the ER waiting for a big story to hopefully report on, but nothing's happening. She tells her camera guy to wrap it up, but she doesn't notice the nurse setting out instruments for an incoming emergency. And when Joey's walking out, the paramedics arrive with a man with hooked chains attached to his body, as one of the chains slashes Joey's ankle. I love the paramedics' dialogue here.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
They're so astonished by what they see, but really, it's a guy with chains attached to him. What's the big deal? And last time I checked, not particularly life-threatening either, but the movie has other ideas on that part. Joey tries to get some answers from the girl who came in with the paramedics, only getting a location where the incident occurred, a club called the Boiler Room. The girl runs off and the emergency room lights up with electricity as the chains attached to the guy come alive, and after a short time, this happens. Oh, thanks for showing he flatlined, filmmakers. I wasn't sure he was dead after his fucking head exploded. Joey gets to the station, and because none of it was filmed, and apparently numerous eyewitnesses and a body prove nothing, it means Joey doesn't have a story. She just can't get a break. And no one believes a word she says, because again, unless it's filmed, evidence means nothing. Joey goes to find the girl she spoke to at the Boiler Room Club, asking around for her.
Excuse me?
Can I help?
Was he just standing there waiting for someone to speak to him so he could do that? She gets told where to find the girl, Terry, by the DJ, and goes to the restaurant. Wait, what? This club has a large mosh pit arena with live metal bands, and what looks like a high-class restaurant with in-house classical orchestra. That seems a little confusing on the tone this place is going for. But I guess it does well to cater to multiple demographics. Joey finds Monroe asking him about Terry, to which he just hands her a rose as his charming way of trying to get into her pants. She quite wisely walks away. That night, we see what looks like a firefight taking place during the Vietnam War, and Joey watches the scene unfold as the men are gunned down. But one is still alive as the helicopter leaves him behind, to which Joey shouts for them to save her father. I'm sensing a theme here with these films, so far at least having female protagonists who have had something traumatic happen to their fathers. It's not a criticism, I just thought it was interesting. It's kind of a shame they don't do it for the rest of the films in the series. Joey is awoken from her nightmare by the phone, and it's Terry on the line offering to tell her what happened if she'll give her a place to stay for the night, to which Joey agrees on. So pretty much immediately, Terry's at Joey's place and they begin to talk, first about whatever Terry can think of, like what Joey was dreaming of, as she mentioned it on the phone. Terry also says that she doesn't really dream and is jealous of people who do, which will influence her character later. The conversation shifts to what happened to the guy at the club. Terry tells her that the guy stole something from the statue Monroe bought and shows Joey where the chains came from.
But the chains, where did the chains come from?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Said it came out of this.
Why was the box encased in a copper statue exactly? If its purpose is to be opened, then why would it allow that, considering it employed a giant winged beast to stop it from being burned? It just seems counterproductive to add that extra copper layer of hassle to the whole thing. After closing time, Monroe is smoking and looking over the club until the statue makes a noise. He notices there's a giant hole where the box used to be. Took him long enough. And like the giant moron he is, he sticks his hand in, getting a nice surprise. He splashes blood on the statue, but all I'm thinking is how stupid it is watching a man wrestle with a clearly stuffed rat. Once he's recovered, Monroe watches as the blood is sucked into the mouth of Pinhead, soon to revive him. At Joey's apartment, Terry is making a disaster of breakfast, burning pretty much everything in sight. Joey tries to get more information out of her about the statue. Terry tells her about the Pyramid Gallery. They go there, finding the place closed and for some time as well, as a passerby informs them. And let's be honest, it's a store in a horror movie that sells curios and objets d'art of mystical and evil design. It was either going to be closed for some time, no longer in business, or the entire building disappeared. It would have been far more surprising if it was just open as usual. Joey and Terry break in, eager to get answers. They go through the files and Joey makes a discovery.
Because this place is a scam. Half the stuff out there was picked up for pennies. High school art classes, bankruptcy sales.
And closed down lunatic asylums. Property at the Chenard Institute? Hey, Joey.
Yeah?
Check it out.
Okay, the place legitimately bought the statue, which was linked to a bizarre death by mattress, I should add. So basically, all the Forces of Evil did was open the shop and sell the statue. I have to wonder if Hell got a commission on that. Back at the club, Monroe is on the prowl and spots a woman he wants to have sex with like a dog in heat, and gets the bartender to hand her a rose as per procedure. You can probably tell that Monroe is written like the biggest douchebag to an almost comedic degree. And Monroe has sex with the girl while Pinhead watches from the statue. But really, Pinhead's kind of stuck there. Maybe he doesn't want to watch but has no choice. Also, I like to think this shows that the blood was pain and the sex was obviously pleasure, both combined to revive Pinhead into some form of animation. But there's really no evidence for that. As we'll see, he needs one other thing to be revived. At the same time, Joey is going through the items they found at the gallery and Terry decides she should leave because Joey's got what she needed from her, which illustrates the kind of abusive relationship she's had before. And speaking of abusive relationships, Monroe has finished with his latest conquest as he just basically treats her like dirt and eventually just plain tells her to get out of his place, which she rightly gets pissed off at. But Pinhead wishes to interject and eat her, starting with her skin. And then finishes with a joke.
Jesus Christ!
Not quite.
Ugh, God, that sort of joke was in Wishmaster.
Not even close.
Please don't make me remember those films. But now Pinhead is able to talk, which doesn't look silly at all, a head poking through like that. Not helped by the comically large pins in his face that are more like nails now. Pinhead tries to get Monroe to help him, to which he doesn't appreciate and points a gun at him, even firing it, which does nothing as Pinhead just spits out the bullets. How they got in his mouth is another matter. And he manages to convince Monroe to join him. Back with Joey, who has received tapes about the statue she was after, and it's a video of Kirsty talking about the puzzle box.
I opened it, and I saw what came out. I don't know what else to call them. Demons.
What did they tell you, Kirsty?
Demons to some, angels to others.
Yeah, this is the point where the ambiguity of the Cenobites disappear. It's less they're a necessary evil and you just gotta stay away. It's more they're evil demons that will destroy and kill anything and everything until good triumphs over them. In my opinion, it's due to the production moving to America and as such a much wider international audience, so things became black and white to appeal to everyone. And personally, the blanket statement of "they're evil, that's it" makes them uninteresting and less real. While Joey watches more of the tapes, something strange happens.
She's telling the truth, Joey.
Not sure that was necessary. I'm pretty sure if anything was going to convince her, a creepy guy on a TV wasn't the best thing to do. Also, at Joey's, Terry sees the puzzle box and it's no longer covered in parts of the statue. However, it's still made of copper, just been polished, which I like because they could have used the original prop, but they made one that made sense. Terry is interrupted in opening the box by a phone call, and it's Monroe on the phone trying to sound sincere, but he just wants her there so he can feed her to Pinhead. Still as charming as ever. She hangs up upset with him because obviously he's a douchebag, and the phone rings again, which goes to voicemail, and it's Joey's camera guy congratulating her on the job she got in another part of the country.
Hey, this is Joey. Speak.
Hey, Joey, congratulations. You may not have heard this yet, but you got that job in Monterey. Now you're gonna have to sell me your condo.
And Joey comes home to find that Terry has gone, thinking Joey doesn't care about her, leaving a note. Which is a lot of stuff about a character that'll be all but irrelevant soon. Seriously. Terry goes to the club and sees Monroe because after you think someone doesn't care about you, go back to someone you know doesn't care about you. Monroe pretends to give a shit about her and doesn't come off as creepy at all.
Yeah, well, a girl I know helped to smarten it up a little bit. And she put her heart and soul into this.
Wow, he went full on evil bad guy with a laugh and everything. Is nothing subtle about this guy? At the same time, Joey dreams about her father again, but the scene shifts into World War I, as she sees the former human Pinhead. Joey is then woken and the TV tries convincing her again.
You have to help me.
He really needs a better communication method. Back at the club, Terry and Monroe are still talking, with Monroe preying on her insecurities and trying to get her to come close to the statue.
Come to daddy.
Oh, come on, what? Frank said that, now anybody who's evil in these films has to say that? That's a lazy reference. Plus it doesn't make sense to Monroe's character, he only says it once. Terry goes towards Monroe but backs away at the last minute, to which he just grabs her with Pinhead shouting for him to bring her to him. But as Monroe drags her, Terry just puts on knuckle dusters, knocking him out in one punch and making a run for it. Pinhead stops her and tries to convince her to help him, using the fact she doesn't dream, saying all those wonders will be open to her if she agrees. Now, personally, I'd find myself a little wary around a statue that was not 2 seconds ago calling to have me fed to it. I'm very untrusting though, clearly. Pinhead tells Terry that all she needs to do is give Monroe to Pinhead and he'll do the rest. Terry tries to do this, but Monroe wakes up attempting to get away. However, Pinhead just grabs him with chains and sticks large pieces of metal into his head. Where did they even come from? Could Pinhead always do that? Also, he didn't feed from Monroe at all, so was that even needed? I doubt he was just biding his time because he was so desperate for the help. Perhaps he just really wanted to mutilate someone. We all get like that sometimes. What? But Pinhead is now free from the statue to take over the world. I'm serious, that's pretty much his plan, take over the world. Also, I hope you liked all that character stuff with Terry, because she's all but irrelevant now and will only appear at the very end and very briefly. Back with Joey, she's woken up by a sound in her apartment and it's an old radio playing music. She tries other channels and then she hears the man from the TV's voice.
Go to the window, Joey.
She clearly tuned into Creepy Voice FM. It's a good station, I get it on my phone. See, it's great. Joey goes to her window and it shows Pinhead's human self manipulating the box. She steps through, which hopefully doesn't mean she's having a weird drug trip and now plummeting to her death. She tries to get answers from the man, but he just sits there motionless. A door opens which Joey walks through back into the trenches of World War I, and she sees the man again. He explains to her that his name was Captain Elliot Spencer and he needs her help to stop Pinhead. This is where the plot gets a little strange. When Chenard killed Pinhead in the last film, he killed his human half, leaving his evil half to manifest fully. Yes, how convenient that the way he died didn't actually kill him and just served to make him stronger and more badass. Can you see it? Can you see the hands clawing to maintain a mascot? Elliot continues to explain that although he became a monster, he was still bound by rules, and by the box. But now Pinhead is free, and as I said, wanting to take over the world. However, the box is still able to banish him. But what if he takes it, I hear you ask?
But what if he takes the box from me before...
He can't take it. It must be given to him. And that's where your courage will count.
Yeah, they just basically made the box into the Ruby Slippers and Pinhead into the Wicked Witch of the West. Back at the club, which is still in full swing, Pinhead decides to crash the party by literally crashing into the party.
Shall we begin?
Why the fuck does he have nails in his face? I'm not the only one to see that, right? He clearly has ridiculous oversized nails in his head. He's called Pinhead, people. The clue's in the fucking name. And before you say I'm nitpicking, look at it again. Tell me the nails don't obscure his face a lot and become pretty much all you can see. Plus, it just looks crap. Then it's time for him to go nuts, attacking everyone in the club in elaborate and ridiculous ways, like spikes to the gut and ice shards in the mouth. Yeah, I don't get that one. Anyway, the doors are locked, everyone dies, moving on. Joey wakes up, again, to a news report of the massacre on TV. She phones her cameraman to meet her there, even though he can't find the report on his TV. She takes the box with her, and after Joey leaves, we see... dun dun dun! The TV was unplugged. That was quite multi-layered. Not only was the news report fake and a trick to get Joey to go to the club, but also it turned on her TV and presumably unplugged it as well, because who would unplug their TV for no reason? Joey goes to the club and is surprised to find it deserted with only her cameraman's car outside, which is just odd that an incredibly popular club goes completely quiet with nobody wondering what the hell. But anyway, Joey goes inside to find the aftermath of all the death and mayhem that occurred. She even finds her cameraman, who in the short space of time managed to get his camera lodged in his neck where his head used to be. Pinhead appears to gloat and pontificate over all the death he's caused, and he tries to take the box from Joey, which doesn't really go to plan.
You enjoy it.
Joey runs for it, dodging cars as she does, and the power lines come alive, electrifying water from a broken hydrant. Then hooked chains appear from the drain, which slash at her. You know, Pinhead's abilities seem to be much more varied, which does make sense because he's more powerful. But if he can spawn chains from anywhere and control objects, turning them into instruments of death, then he seems to be severely lacking in imagination. There should be chains coming from everywhere. Entire streets should be whipping and lashing at everything. But no, he does it once and never again. Things explode around Joey, and as she stops to catch her breath, we get to see the new Cenobites for this film, starting with her cameraman.
Oh, Doug, no.
Have you seen what he did to me, you little bitch? Have you seen?
Camera Cenobite, as I'll call him, causes the shop window to explode, somehow. Then Joey tells the guy to run, but he gets a hole in the head instead. Then another Cenobite appears, the CD Cenobite. These Cenobites are very much a modern interpretation, and I get that. However, I don't like that they're action figures waiting to happen. The camera Cenobite, for example. It's like slide this thing on his back to extend the camera. Or the CD Cenobite with CD throwing action. There's also the bartender Cenobite, which comes with a cocktail shaker accessory. To me, these Cenobites just feel far too gimmicky. They just don't have the same gravitas the originals did. Apart from the gimmick, there's nothing else that's been given much thought, making these some of the more forgettable Cenobites of the series. Joey runs into a church, which isn't the worst place she could have picked, really, and she asks the priest for help.
My child, what's the matter? What on earth's the matter?
You're horrendously dubbed, that's what's the matter. I mean, wow, that's bad. Joey tells him about the demons. He tells her that demons are just metaphors, to which Joey gives an appropriate response.
Then what the fuck is that?
Pinhead proceeds to destroy parts of the church because he can, and then just fuck about for a while, again because he can. First by melting a silver cross on the priest's hand, then going to the altar he does something with the pins in his head, which have worms on them for some reason. and then does this. Now, honestly, there was no value or reason for him to do any of that. You might be thinking, oh, Pinhead did some kind of ritual. But no, he did it because he could and for the hell of it. And so they could put...
I am the way.
in the trailer as well, but narratively, it makes zero sense why he would waste time doing that. Pinhead feeds the priest some of his own flesh because he really wants to make fun of Bible verses.
This is my body. This is my blood. Happy are they who come to my supper.
But Joey manages to activate part of the box, getting Pinhead's attention, and then runs off with the box again, getting Pinhead to follow her. Joey runs to a construction yard and is met with the remaining Cenobites. Monroe, who has the head piston action feature, you turn the wheel on his back and the pistons move. But seriously, what possible reason does that have being there? And also Terry, who's the only one that comes close to looking like one of the original Cenobites. Even though the cigarette in her throat is just stupid. And you can't market that to kids, filmmakers. Your whole action figure plans have completely fallen through. They knock Joey to the ground as Pinhead shows up.
They're handmade, Joey. A shadow of my former troops, overeager.
Ha! Even Pinhead agrees they're inferior to the original Cenobites. They all surround Joey, but she manages to fully activate the box.
Play with this, Pinhead!
Ugh, great name drop there. The box does its thing and banishes all the Cenobites, never to be seen again, because they sure as hell won't be in any other film. Joey's surroundings change and she appears in her dream with her father, who wonders why he was brought there to see her, and Joey gives him the box.
Here, take it.
And... Akbar.
It's a trap!
As Joey realizes he shouldn't know her name, Pinhead reveals himself. But as he goes to attack her, the surroundings change again into an army building, leading to a confrontation with Elliot vowing to stop his evil self. To which Pinhead dresses Joey in bondage gear.
No! You'll like her better this way. Trust me.
That really wasn't scary and it didn't look painful. I think the filmmakers just really wanted Terry Farrell in a kinky outfit. Then a weird suggestive creature pops up from the ground ready to do who knows what to Joey. Don't worry though, it just wants to slash up her face instead, turning into a blade-wielding machine. Elliot grabs Pinhead, forcing him to drop the box as Joey is released. They start to merge together into their original self, and it would seem the Pinhead half wins, but Elliot comes through.
Joey! Send me to hell!
Joey forms the box into a spike, stabbing Pinhead with it, sending him to hell, which makes everything go back to normal, as Joey appears back in the construction yard. And then the movie ends with Joey submerging the box in some wet concrete, trapping it there, but we find it has created one ugly-ass building in its own image. Which will lead us into the sequel next time. So that was Hellraiser 3: Hell on Earth. And it's not a terrible film, but it doesn't compare to the first two. Hellraiser 3 can be an entertaining film. It's goofy, it's over the top and ridiculous with plenty of action and gore. However, that's the antithesis of what Hellraiser was. The point of Hellraiser was a film devoid of anything resembling a tongue-in-cheek attitude. It treated everything as seriously as it possibly could and as real as it could, because that was different. Unlike most horror films at the time, which were like, well, Hellraiser 3. Like I said, it's not terrible or even bad, it's just lost something significant the originals had. Hellraiser 3 started the steady decline of the Hellraiser series, and next time, we'll take a look at the last Hellraiser film to be released to theatres, and they go out swinging. See you next time.